ask the same question. Did GCCs hire more or the IT services? And that debate continues. Hi, and welcome to Xfino's GCC Talent Podcast. And today, I want to reflect the same question with a few more numbers thrown at you. So let's start with the GCCs. What did the GCCs do in the last 5 years? So GCCs, from a number point of view, the net headcount have increased by 6,20,000 in the last 5 year period. What does that mean? It has a whole lot of things thrown at it. One, clearly there's been attrition in the range of 12 to 22%, depending on which year they started and which category of people left them. So that's 12 to 22% of attrition. And of course, they had attrition, so that means there is a backfill. So if you look at how much did the backfill and how much net addition they did over the last 5 years, the attrition linked replacement at GCCs was 1.2 million. Yes, for 12 lakh people was just replacement hiring. And in this 5 year period, there were also net additions. So if you add up both backfills plus expansion, remember Greenfield GCCs keep coming to India. So if you add the backfills of 1.2 million and the expansion of the 6,20,000, 1.8 million people were hired by GCCs in the last 5 years. That sounds a lot, but also sounds so familiar, is it? So let's move from where generally they end up hiring from. We all know that when they come to India, set up, almost 50% of the talent comes from IT services companies, and that's their captive pool. So, how have IT services companies been faring during this period? So, when I look at the IT services period of hiring in the last 5 years, very clearly we see that the numbers obviously is much higher, but the net addition during the last 5 year phase with the IT services companies is in the range of about 8.5 lakh people. Yes, 8.5 lakh people. GCCs, remember, added 6.2 and IT services added 8.5 lakh people. So, in a way, you can say that GCCs are inching higher or closer versus the IT services companies. But that's not all. You have to compare with the gross hiring of IT services companies as well. Because remember, IT services companies also have an attrition range from 12 to 17%, depending on which company we're talking about. So, if you look at the gross hiring of IT services companies, which is a combination of backfills and net addition. Let's add that up. So, over the last 5 years, IT services companies, and when we say IT services companies, we took the top 17 Indian listed IT services companies where the numbers are out in the public. It's easy to measure, they publish it themselves. So, if you look at the replacements alone over the last 5 years, IT services companies, these 17 bellwethers, replaced 13.5 lakh people. Yes, 13.5 lakh people. And they added another 8.5 lakh people. So, net in the same measurement period of 5 years, the IT services companies added 22 lakh people. So, to put it in context, when GCCs overall added 1.8 million people, when I say added, that means hired, the IT services companies had 22 lakh people. Imagine the hiring machine going into GCC's 1.8 million and the 22 lakh people IT services companies had. So that's to give you a context of who's hiring the maximum. But there's one thing about this, the net additions. The last 2 years, if you look at the net additions, definitely GCCs have had an upper hand. So if you look at the financial year 24, GCCs added 60,000 net additions, whereas at the same time, the IT services companies added just 50,000 people. And if you look at last year, the last financial year, GCCs had a net addition of 1.1 lakh people, whereas the IT services companies added about a lakh of people. So in the last 2 years, you can say GCCs from a net addition point of view had an upper hand when it comes to hiring. Now, what about the other dimensions? When I say other dimensions, what about the cities that grew? Bangalore, as far as GCC is concerned, grew by about 1%. Delhi NCR grew a little faster when it came to GCC in the last 12 months. It grew by 2%. And Hyderabad, which has a lower base of GCC workers, grew by 1%. What about leadership roles? And if you look at the GCC, which are fueled by not only the bellwether expansions, but also the greenfields. So we looked at the GCC bellwethers, that is 125 top companies which have a headcount higher than 5,000 people. So which has about 41,000 professionals today whom you can call as leaders in the GCC bellwethers. That's the top 125 companies. This talent pool grew by 7%. There's about 2,800 people got added to that pool. The churn rate there is about 6%. If you take the same context and look at the top 17 IT services companies, how did they do? So there are about 3,000 professionals whom you can call as leaders in this cohort of IT services companies, the top 17. Here, the talent pool, the leader talent pool, only grew by 3%, whereas they had a churn of 8%. So that explains, right? So the churn of IT services leaders moving into GCCs is a logical path that we are all witnessing. So net net, if you look at it, what are we talking about? As much as we say GCs are hiring quite a lot, last 2 years they had a net addition higher than the IT services companies. In terms of sheer volume of hiring, IT services companies still hire the maximum. And it's just the top Indian 17 IT services companies I'm talking about. I have not added Accenture, IBM, CapG kind of companies, which you know are bellwethers of Indian IT services companies. So next time somebody asks you who's hiring the maximum number of people, is it GCCs or is it the IT services companies? The numbers speak for the IT services companies themselves. Thank you for tuning into Exynos GC Talent Podcast once again. Stay well.